Who knew that even though we turned the page onto Act 2 of this 2023 NFL season, we still have another week of fugly football. Yes, that is right, ladies and gentlemen. Sloppy, ugly football all around, whether it was on offense or defense, you name it. But anyway, that's what we got in week 6 of this NFL season. So that being said, let's talk about it. Of course, we had some teams that were on bye-bye for 1 week, and then they were going to come back from their vacay until they got no more vacay. And that was the Green Bay Packers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So they're coming back next week, but for now, they get to enjoy the messiness that was week 6. So kicking things off on Thursday Night Football, only on Prime Video, the Kansas City Chiefs faced the Denver Broncos as the Denver defense nearly single-handedly pulled off the win, but of course, Russell Wilson killed any momentum that the Broncos had, as Kansas City didn't necessarily have a good game themselves, but Harrison Butker's trio of field goals were just enough to get the win, 19-18 over Denver. Then we get to the Sunday slate of games in the early morning portion. Down in London, mate, the final one of the 2023 NFL season. Derrick Henry's big third quarter run and touchdown nearly jolted a comeback from an 18-3 deficit, but they never really got out of second gear, that being the Titans, especially when Ryan Tannehill had to leave the game with a high right ankle sprain, and Malik Willis had to come in relief, and that was pretty much it for the Titans, as the Ravens held on 24-16 in London. Desmond Ridder and the Falcons tried to engineer a comeback of their own, down 24-10 in the third quarter, but Ridder's 2 fourth-quarter interceptions undid the Dirty Birds, as the Washington Commanders held on 24-16 in Atlanta. And meanwhile in Chicago, oh boy, it's the yearly battle between inept offenses on full display between the Minnesota Vikings and Bears football. But a scoop and score sack fumble by linebacker Jordan Hicks of the Vikings was the end game for Bears football and Vikings football, as Minnesota ended the suffering that America had to endure on that NFL Sunday, as Minnesota beat the Bears 19-13. Cincinnati's red zone defense was like the Great Wall of China in Cincinnati, and Geno Smith and the Seahawks couldn't find the end zone, barely, outside of one touchdown, as that proved to be a deciding factor in the Bengals' grinding win over Seattle, 17-13, heading into their Week 7 bye week. Down in Cleveland, the Browns' defense made Brock Purdy very uncomfortable all day, as they did just enough with a little bit of help and a Jake Moody miss to score the rainy upset 19-17 over my San Francisco 49ers. CJ Stroud shook off a very early interception, although it wasn't really, because the Saints proceeded to fumble it anyway and had himself another productive outing, and so did the Saints defense over Derek Carr and the Saints, as the Texans went on to upset them 20-13. The Jaguars chose all elite violence on Gardner Minshew and the Indianapolis Colts, as they intercepted him 3 times, and Trevor Lawrence and the offense made him pay for it, as the Jaguars beat the Colts 37-20. But something to keep an eye on for the Jaguars is Trevor Lawrence's leg injury. Is he going to be out for that Thursday game against the Saints, or maybe even a couple more weeks than that? Something to keep an eye on, because he was in there late in the game. I don't know why, but yeah, he suffered a leg or knee injury, but I don't understand why he was in there in the first place, but hopefully he'll heal out. Then down in the Miami Gardens, the Dolphins flipped the script on a 14-0 first quarter deficit thanks to Raheem Mostert's 3 touchdowns and Tyreek Hill's 2, as the Miami Dolphins backflipped their way to a blowout over the Panthers 42-21. Going to the afternoon slate of games, the Raiders may have lost Jimmy G to yet another injury, but just like last year, they beat the Patriots on another lull moment, thanks to Mac Jones blindly volunteering himself to get sacked by Max Crosby for another end zone safety under 2 minutes left to go in the game, as the Raiders beat the Patriots on a miracle play yet again, 21-17. Yes, 2 years straight, ladies and gentlemen, 2 years straight that happened. After a slow start down in LA, Matthew Stafford and the Rams said enough of the crap and had Cooper Kupp and Kyron Williams have a big game against the Arizona Cardinals, as the Rams scored 23 unanswered points to dismantle a hobbled Arizona team 26-9. being down several defensive starters didn't face gangrene, as the Jets were the ones to phase Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles as they picked off Jalen Hurts 3 times, and Breece Hall, the running back, got a touchdown very late in the game as the New York Jets, yes, the Jets without Aaron Rodgers, upset the undefeated, now no longer undefeated, Philadelphia Eagles 20-14. So, wow. The Jets and the Browns, who were not the skid marks that day, upset both the remaining undefeated teams in the Eagles and the 49ers. Who would have thought? That being said, there's that saying, any given Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. Then down in Tampa Bay, a tight game turned into a runaway as Jared Goff's touchdown to Jameson Williams was the cherry on top to the Lions defense strong third down stops for much of the game as Detroit silenced the Tampa Bay Bucks 20-6. Then the Sunday Night Football game of week number 6, the Giants defense gave Josh Allen the Bills all they could handle until a fourth quarter touchdown to some guy named Quinn Morris, the backup tight end, to their other tight end, Dalton Kincaid, who was out for that game. And despite Buffalo's defense getting sweaty again in the final minutes of the game, and unfortunately a little bit of ref ball, the G-men couldn't pull off the upset as the Bills just barely held on in a very sloppy affair, 14-9. Then the Monday Night Football game to close out week number 6, Michael Parsons' big sack on Justin Herbert and Stephon Gilmore's game-sealing interception on Justin Herbert in back-to-back plays shut down the Chargers chance at overtime and a win, potential win, 20-17 in SoFi Stadium. And of course, it wouldn't be a Monday night game without a little bit of fisticuffs. But then, of course, it's the Plowboys and the Clippers in trying to fight it out pregame, put them up in SoFi. But I guess they missed the memo because WrestleMania was 6 months ago in that stadium. But nonetheless, that is your Week 6 game slate recap. Let me know what you thought of each game in the comments below. Did your team win? Did your team lose? I'd like to know how you're feeling about your team or any of these teams in the comments below. But now let's get to my winners and losers of week number 6. Well, basically my winners this week are the teams that upset the undefeated teams that are no longer undefeated, or I guess you could call these teams the ones and the 5-1s. So let's start off with the New York Jets. So yeah, like I said, they're basically down most of their defensive starters, like in the secondary. It was mainly in the secondary. Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, Justin Hardy. So yeah, going up against a top tier offense in the Philadelphia Eagles, that's not going to be an easy task. Everyone had them down, including myself. I picked the Eagles to pretty much not basically dismantle the Jets, but I think they're going to like kind of run away with this game. But against a vaunted Eagles offense, they severely limited them in the second half. And they really forced Jalen Hurts into some pretty big mistakes that turned the game in their favor. Now on offense, Zach Wilson wasn't perfect. He got sacked 5 times, but he didn't turn over the ball, which was good. And he actually made some solid decisions with it. It helped set up his team into a winnable spot. So all in all, this is perhaps Gang Green's best win of the season by far. I'd say even more so than the Bills game back in week 1. Now going to their bye week, they have some things to work on, but who knows? I mean, I'm not saying that the Jets can make a run, but this is something they could possibly build on. And then you have the Cleveland Browns. So just like the Jets, nobody gave them an ounce of a chance because of the buzzsaw offense that they're facing in the 49ers. But one thing I can give them credit for this week is that their defense is very legit. Their defense is very strong. And that's the biggest key in securing that win over Brock Purdy and the 49ers. They made Brock very uncomfortable and exposed a couple weak areas in that offense, notably that offensive line. So if they can get an ounce of that matching production from Deshaun Watson and the offense, whenever Deshaun Watson comes back, if they can somehow get any inch of Deshaun Watson's glory days, then perhaps maybe the Browns can shed a little ounce of that skid marks label off their asses and make it less brown and don't have to look at the disgusting fetish. Then maybe Cleveland can potentially challenge for a wild card spot, or maybe even. It's a little bit of a stretch to say AFC North, but who knows? Who knows at this rate? Some of the losers for this week. The New Orleans Saints. Ugh, man. Like, I get it, you lost to the Texans, but there were so many opportunities for the Saints to try and win that game. But they took several red zone trips against the Texans, whose secondary is a work in progress. But they've only had one touchdown to show for it. And that's not going to win you many games. And what also isn't going to win you many games is Derek Carr throwing checkdowns in those spots. And that's basically what he did during his time with the Raiders in those critical situations. It's like they need you to go and make those aggressive throws. But instead, you just crumble under the pressure and throw a check down. That's not going to win you games, man. And the Saints are now realizing that. So they're very lucky that they played in a very bad division, that is the NFC South, because I think everyone else lost in that day. So yikes. So even if they do win that division, they're probably going to be one and done. The Chargers. There were multiple chances for the Chargers to get themselves into scoring position against the Dallas Cowboys, regardless of how you feel about their defense, if not score outright. But man, they whiffed on a lot of them. Justin Herbert took a lot of mid-range deep shots and kept overshooting his receivers one too many times that eventually, at some point, the Dallas's defensive front was eventually going to get to him. They're going to sack him, or they're going to make him do a mistake at the game's most crucial moments. And that's exactly what happened when Micah Parsons finally got the Dallas Cowboys' first and only sack of the game, which was the most important one. And when they were about to pressure him and get another one on that third down, they forced Justin Herbert to throw it to Stephon Gilmore for the stealing interception. And then there's also that much prior to that, there was that fourth and one in the red zone, and they decided to throw it. I kind of agree with some of the people that are saying there. It's like they should have went for the quarterback sneak, but I know I get it at the same time that it was kind of predictable, but they should have either try to run it or try to fake them onto the left or the right. I don't know. Either way, it was kind of a weird decision for them to throw it on 4th and 1. So a lot of missed opportunities for the Chargers too. And not to mention the fact they had 2 weeks to prepare for the Cowboys because they had their bye week. But of course, in typical Chargers fashion, they clippers, ladies and gentlemen. So to end things off, we have my one big takeaway for week number 6, and it's the usual reminder that ref ball reigns supreme. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, ref ball made its one appearance a week, one appearance per week, or 2 appearances per week, several appearances a week, however many appearances that you want to count throughout the season, ladies and gentlemen. And it's pretty damn awful. There were several games throughout week 6 which were either pretty sloppy or affected the outcome of a lot of games because the referees were trying to make themselves like an Aubrey Edwards. Try to compare NFL referees to Aubrey Edwards in All Elite Wrestling. They're trying to be divas. They're trying to make it all about themselves, ladies and gentlemen. So they would either call penalties on plays that didn't deserve penalties. They would call penalties on the wrong team even. It wouldn't even see turnovers clearly. It was that bad, Lisa. It was that bad. And of course, the cycle is going to continue each and every week because we'll keep watching it, including me. It's a never-ending cycle. But it just doesn't make it right. It really doesn't make it right. I have to call out that bullcrap. I don't understand. Why doesn't Roger Goodell, who has all this money in the world for the NFL, hire some actual damn full-time referees? We don't not AI robots because that's just gonna make it worse. But actual damn referees, offer them a full-time job, full-time pay with benefits, have them read the rule book to get these calls right. And I know, I get it. It's error, human error. But damn it, this is getting out of control, man. You can't have these part-time people who probably have multiple jobs out there. I mean, no disrespect to them, but they keep getting these calls wrong. You need people doing this full-time. to make at least most of these calls right. It's getting out of control, man. It is really getting out of control. So anyway, those are my thoughts. That is my recap for week number 6 of the 2023 NFL season. And yeah, very kind of sloppy week in this 2023 season. Another fugly week, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, it will definitely get tighter and tighter as we wind down the season. But we're really far away from that right now. But for now, we just got to enjoy the ride for what we have, I guess. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on week 6 in this 2023 season, and let's start a discussion on it. But anyway, that is it for me on Dylan Lasagna here on Very Cold Lasagna with another recap. And keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of sports. And peace out.